Welcome to 3.5. I am Jaz Woods, Senior Manager of Lifestyle and Culture in our Music and Strategy Department at Universal Music Group, where we do a lot of things focused around curation and showing the beauty of curation outside of playlisting. We're getting into sped up songs and remixes and just really creating innovative strategies for the entertainment culture as a whole. I've been in the music industry for about 8 years now. So it is really, really inspiring that the 3.5 team invited me to host this special edition of Behind the Business. Sorry, guys. And it's where we catch up with music industry professionals and, also help you elevate your own music career. First off, today's guest is a powerhouse, before she was at this legendary label that I will get into. She spent some years at Capitol. She also spent some years at Spotify. But for those that don't know, I am with the lovely Amber Grimes today of LVRN. Hi, Amber.
Hi. Oh, there I am.
Yes, for those that don't know, Amber recently joined the team and she is a powerhouse. And when I mean powerhouse, I don't mean that just in the lens of, oh my God, this is a woman who's breaking barriers. No, this is a strategist, this is an innovator, and this is someone that I think all can learn from. So say hey to Amber.
Thank you.
Yes. So I want to dive in really quick here. I had to pivot my question because, this is a special edition of Behind the Business, not Behind the Music, with Love Renaissance and the waves and the momentum that is coming out of this label slash management team right now only continues to grow and grow. You guys now have Brian Michael Cox.
You came on a good day.
Okay, I was
Today
just
was
like, the alignment is insane. Like, for those that don't know, Brian Michael Cox is essential. He's worked with the likes of Mary J. Blige. He's worked with Mariah Carey. He's worked with Usher. And when you think about that in parallel to, what LVRN has going on right now with Summer Walker and all of the amazing songstress and artists that are coming out of there, Amber, can you tell us, what does this moment feel for you right now?
I mean it's big. It's so I'm like it's just cool. Like it's just cool as hell, I think. We all he's been with us since the 1st of January. So we've kind of been keeping this big secret and we're not good at it because like we posted him on our stories and he's been hanging out with the group. Like we're if you pay attention, you'll know all of our secrets. But doing the announcement today and knowing that the culture felt as great about it as we did and understood how big it was. And I love that you said he's essential. Like they still know how essential Brian Michael Cox is and that whole group that he comes from that time. It was just so cool. And we're so happy to have him. I feel like all of our business. Like we really care about the quality of music and about the quality of artists and everything that we put out. And so to have somebody whose entire career has been about the care that they put into production and songwriting and just artist development in general. And then just to like have somebody who's like absolutely like goated come and work with you as very young people in the business.
Right,
Like
right.
it's just the coolest thing because I feel like a lot of the times like we're able to, everybody talks about reaching back. And for him, like it's almost like he reached back for us, like, hey, like I'm not against them
Mm.
because they're young or because they just started doing this or that, they're only 10 years deep in the game. Like he understands what's going on and the value he can bring to it and the value that we can bring to him. And it's just like a beautiful exchange of value. That's the most I can say about it.
No, I totally agree. And for those that don't know, just so I can be clear, Brian was recently named the senior VP of A&R, which I think is incredible because when we talk about the quality of music and where I feel like we're heading as a culture, I think it's essential to have producers in that A&R um, field. So could you talk about that as well too? The how production is
Yeah.
now going to help amplify that side of you guys is, a whole powerhouse.
Um, people that actually make the music have been missing from the music industry for a while. I definitely understand the value of executives in general. You
Mhm.
know, nobody wants to hear me sing, but I know the value that that I bring to the music industry and my role in what I do. When you talk about the role of making music, the real role of A&R, because it's evolved a bit in a way that, you know, I can't say that we're all very happy about, right? I feel like A&R used to have more power and control in a positive way, in the best way, to help lead the artist in the direction that they want to go, and pull all their thoughts together and to make it sound cohesive, like that really important part of putting together a project, a body of work. And now that we're so singles driven as a community, and I wrote this song in my bedroom, which is amazing.
Mm.
The value of A&R and their opinion, and what they bring to the table, and finding producers for you, and crafting your sound, I feel like has gotten lost. And B Cox is not only somebody who was a part of it at the peak of it all, but he still wants to do it. And there's people that respect him, our artists, our staff, that respect him to do it. And so I feel like people that make music should make the music.
No, absolutely. Like, no, for real. Like, shout out to like Everett Moon, one of our production producers here, engineers at Lunar Lab Studios. When he saw the news, he was like, "Oh my God, I have wanted to work with that man since like making the band." So there
So,
are.
oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I'm making the band. He's rap game, making the band, like it keeps going. He's so iconic. But I will say too that, like, I also think that sometimes songwriters and producers in these buildings, or at major labels, or even at independent labels, are only thought of as people that make the music. And we're happy that Brian can come and be an executive at our company, because not only is he going to be an executive producer, but he is the executive on the A&R team, because he also understands the business, you know. So it's just important that to know, like, all he does, or all a lot of these producers and songwriters do, is not just make music. They bring value in other ways. So we're happy to be able to showcase to the world how much he has to offer, even beyond his art.
Absolutely. And you brought up a point that I want to go back to really, get the conversation going. LVRN, was founded, I believe, in 2012, like you said, about 10 years ago. And you see how this group of men, if I'm not mistaken, they're all immigrants, correct?
Mhm. First generation.
Um, yeah. um, and where I see music, going these days, and I'm just gonna give a fun fact because I'm a little nerdy. The Middle East and North African region was the fastest growing in the music industry during 2012. I mean 2021. And
Wow.
then last year, consumption of world music, which includes music from Africa, spiked more than 20% in the US. You guys now have DJ Spinall. When you want to talk about a cohesive body of work, what you guys just did with the Top Boy album, I feel like, and I would love for you to talk about it. Was it strategic to one, have these founders, you know, get someone like Spinall and really start to drive the conversation, because LVRN, I feel like, is known for R&B, but now they're stepping into, this Afrobeats global space. So my question to you is it a mixture of, like strategy, or is it just staying true to the essence and the roots of who you guys are, as founders of this label?
It's the essence and the roots, and it's timing. You know, the guys formerly started working with Santi, you know, many years ago. I want to say that was almost 4 years ago. Who's another incredible artist. And I think now, especially as LVRN is getting more out there, and people have to know about us globally too, right? Now, you know, other artists as big as Spinall and Davito, who we manage as well, understand who we are and what we do, and how we can connect the dots for them, culturally, because we get what's going on over there, but we get what's going on over here, and we understand how to bridge the gap. And we're figuring that out together, actually, is the better way to say it. And so I think that, you know, I speak for the guys when I say that it's their dream to be able to represent Spinall. It's their dream to be able to represent DeVito. It's their dream to be able to represent all of the other artists that we'll work with from the diaspora. But I think they
Mhm.
had to build the business up to a certain point to make sure that those artists trusted and respected to represent them in the US and where they live. And now that we're there, it's amazing that just the timing is just perfect, and thanks to streaming, there wasn't always a time where it was easy to go find world music.
I agree. I
If it
agree.
wasn't at, if it, they weren't selling it in Tower Records, or you didn't know where to look, or wasn't
Yep.
playing on your radio station, you don't know where it is. And now that we're in the streaming era, you literally take your phone and you can go find anything you want to. And so I think it's the same reason why hip hop is now the number one genre, whereas before it wasn't. But that didn't mean people didn't like hip hop. They couldn't find it. It wasn't
Right.
promoted. It wasn't in their face. And now that you have the power to choose, you see that people choose Afro beats because they've always chosen Afro beats. It just wasn't as easy to find. And so
Mhm.
it's an exciting time for the truth, um,
But can
about
you say that again? Because you just said something that I feel like is really important. You said it's always been here.
it's always been here. It was here before some of the other stuff.
Mhm.
But it's an exciting time for the truth to really be told about what people enjoy and who enjoys it and why they enjoy it. I'm so happy that all of these artists from all different places, even like what Bad Bunny is doing for the
Oh,
whole culture, right? Because somebody might have said people don't want to hear Latin music. That is not true.
that's not true.
It's
Yeah.
very clear based on his record sales and like never leaving the charts that is not true. So it's a beautiful time and an interesting opportunity for everybody to find out what's true about everyone's palate.
No, I completely agree. There's so many unique subcultures that I feel like because of technology, everyone is now jumping into. And I wanted to ask you, as someone who has been thinking about, the future of Black entrepreneurship a lot, right? Like, I feel like sometimes the conversation is always around, reparations. And it's not to say that reparations don't matter, but I think we are in a space now where, when I think about the population of Africa and places like the continent of like Asia, it's massive. And I feel like with technology, it's only going to get more rapid in terms of the sounds and the artistry and the creativity that's coming out. Do you think we are in a space where, like, social media, these social media apps even have the capacity to keep up with what's happening? I look at TikTok right now, it's basically like Napster. That's what I've
Yeah.
been, discussing with some young creatives is that, it's the disruptor that is still here and that is able to like breathe life into some of these moments that are happening. But I guess my question to you is just like, do you think outside of social media, how can someone else, have access to these sounds? Like, is it through traveling? Is it through, you know, um
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like the biggest supporter of social media. Of like, I feel like my generation, I hope other millennials feel the same, because I don't fight technology. I've been through too much. I've been through too much technology to fight it. And so if you look at, I enjoy being a millennial, I always say, because I had dial up internet and I had Instagram when it first started, right? I lived both
Same,
worlds. So everybody didn't get that, right? So I
same.
was
No, I feel
there.
you.
I was there when I was on Black Planet. So forgive me if I like completely age myself,
No,
back.
you're not, because I was on MySpace and I was gonna get on that too.
So I started on Black Planet where we were all coding, which was great. And then I was having a good time on there. And then this thing called MySpace came, and a lot more of my friends were on, and I like this top 8 thing, and I could still code a little bit and make things fall down the screen. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll come over to MySpace. There was like a little music component to that. That was cute. And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, now there's this thing called Facebook. And Facebook is like, I guess where all the college guys are at. And so if I'm gonna get on Facebook and see what Facebook has, and everybody in my high school has it, let me just get on over to Facebook. And then there's this thing when I go to college called Twitter, and I'm like, wait, so it's just like Facebook, but all I do is like talk. Okay, cool. Well,
Right.
like, let me get on it, and I'll start talking. And I literally used to communicate on Twitter like it was a cell phone with my friends all day. I don't know why it's a ridiculous thing. That's why '09 is a terrible time for everybody. And then then Instagram came, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is just Twitter, but without all the words. It's for pictures.
Yep.
And if you go through that 5 or 6 times, you learn to stop pushing back on what's next and what's now. And I
Mm.
take that lesson from my age from my age group and take that into what I do in my career. I don't fight technology. I think that, to answer your question, social media is used at like its highest form in the best way when we're sharing information, and music is a part of that information, and other people's cultures are part of that information. And so I don't know where else we would go and find what's happening in Africa, or what's the new dance here, or what the kids are listening to, or what's popular here that hasn't made it here yet, if it wasn't for Instagram, TikTok, Triller, whatever that person might have access to, that's creating the sound or doing the dance or whatever it is that we need to know, providing the information. And so I think social media is like the most one of the most important one of the most important resources to keep things global, to
Yeah.
keep music global, to keep conversations global, to keep information to getting from one place to another. Like I don't know how we would do it without it, honestly. It's the biggest driver and promotional tool that we have, period.
No, I agree with you, and shout out to, Mike Begane. Mike Begane came over, from Spotify to UMG, and I can honestly say he is one of the most, like, innovative and forward-thinking people I've, like, ever, like, been able to work with or learn from, and, a lot of what we've been recently doing goes back to my question for you is, there's a lot of I feel like sometimes reverse engineering and bridging those gaps and trying to figure out, okay, what is going to work and how can we continue to ignite or create these moments? How has bridging the gap, along your journey for those that don't know, how have you been able to bridge a gap or find the motivation to not only keep going, but where did it start? What was the motivation for someone like a Amber Grimes wanting to get in a business and now she is, EVP of like arguably the hottest like label in our culture right now?
I'm from Atlanta. So
Hey, okay. Period.
uh,
I'm from Atlanta.
so that, like, that's how you bridge the gap. There's not there's not a lot there except for music and creativity and like a lot of inspiring Black people. And so I feel like where I come from, I saw a lot of, if not successful people that looked like me, but people that were trying to make it happen that looked like me. And so just the ambition of the people around me and people that come from Atlanta and stories of people that come from Atlanta is so inspiring to keep you wanting to keep reaching for something and climbing in to actually get there because it's happened, right? You feel very sure that it can happen for you because it happened for that person. And we're all like, there's like 2 degrees of separation in Atlanta either. So it's like, yeah, like that's my cousin actually. So if it can happen for, if it can happen for him, it can happen for me. And then the music's everywhere. Music's everywhere. That's our whole, that's our thing. It's what Atlanta does best. And because Atlanta, like, it feels like a big place, like a California or New York, but Atlanta is like it's a small town to me, like where we all know each other and we're all trying to figure it out. And I feel like Atlanta has broken so many of the rules of music from a creative standpoint and from an industry standpoint just because we didn't know them. It's unfortunate sometimes to know what box you're in, so then you stay in that box and you're trying to make this perfect thing for the perfect people and suits and whatever it is people had going on everywhere else. Because we didn't have any rules or know what was going on, somebody like Fabo was making a song called Laffy Taffy and was like, I know
Man,
this is gonna hit, right? A
that was
group
a
like
hit for real.
I will go down always to say that, like, D Pharrell's first project is a no skip, top to bottom, one of the best bodies of work I've ever heard from a real Atlanta talent. There was
Wow.
absolutely no way when they made that album they were listening to what was going on and taking inspiration. That came from wherever they were at and wherever in the pits of their soul it came from. And so
Mhm.
I just think my ambition comes from where I'm from. My my willingness to be extremely risky and have faith in what I want to do or try to do comes from where I'm from, and my just complete overconfidence and sense of belief that whatever it is I try to do, I will do, comes from where I'm from, and it hasn't failed me yet. So we do a good job.
No, I love that. Shout out to Atlanta. Like, no, shout out to the culture. And I love that you brought it up first as, the talking point, because whenever I think about the history of Atlanta and where the shift started, I always think about that moment of, Andre 3000 on the Source Wars. He's like,
Yep.
"Some got something to say."
And
So
we have ever since.
literally
Okay.
every sense, which also makes me go into, we have a question. We are taking questions live, so you guys are going hard for Amber, and I really do appreciate that. We do have a question for you. This is from A Hall 719. They want to know, Amber, how do you find a balance between innovation, forward thinking, and not feeling rushed or pressure into losing parts, of yourself in the industry or past parts
Mm.
of the industry?
Um,
Great question, by the way.
yeah, that's a tough question. Stuff moves fast. Like you just have to. It's like cliche to say like you have to stay ready.
Yeah.
You have to be agile. One of my favorite words is just like when the shift happens. Sometimes there is no time to wait, and so you have to figure out how you're going to flip your game fast.
Mm.
And that's a skill that has to be honed, and it's a talent. I believe everybody can't do that. But if you can start working on it now, it's literally what I'm saying is remember those times in history in your life where you had to keep moving. And for me, it was social. It was that social media switch because I thank social media and my ability to introduce Bacardi to a bunch of people
Yeah.
that didn't live in Atlanta. I accredit a lot of my career to that, because if I went somewhere, people would be like, "Oh, you're Bacardi from Instagram, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like great, like let's. It's so nice to meet you." I've marketed myself in a way as a from a business standpoint so much that I could go into rooms or sell myself or DM somebody to send them my resume or something. Like it helped me being on that social platform professionally. It's not just for artists. Everybody has a brand, no matter if you do business or if you do art or
Say
whatever it is
that.
that you do. And so I've always been ready to change. And even my you brought up Mike Begain, at the time that we worked at Spotify, it's like one of the most special times ever because people didn't understand streaming. And so everybody who worked at that company around that time, the 2015, 2016, I came in 2017, we were all the first people to say we believe in this thing and that it's going to make a difference. Like CDs, like gone are the days, right? Of CDs and
Wow.
vinyl and all that stuff. And everybody kind of made this commitment to this business and this technology, this startup that was Spotify. It was huge at the time, but it still felt small. People didn't even know how to use it and say, we believe in this. We're going to like put our lives on the line. We're going to have fun with these artists and help these artists do whatever it is that they want to do and help their dreams come true. Billboards, this, that, and the third, because we believe in this product. And I take that with me through everything. When something comes, don't fight it. Figure out where you fit in it, and you have time to figure it out. You have to figure it. I still haven't figured out TikTok, but I'm on there dancing and shit.
Okay,
And
because
I'm
I was about to get into that question. No, seriously, because you just made me say something that makes me think of that Jay-Z quote too, where he's saying, like, don't go with the flow, be the flow.
yes.
And I even, shout out to Mike and Taylor and Jacob and Nima and Jose and Keegan and everyone on our team who has been very essential in showcasing, what Mike has been, really amplement on. Sorry if I messed up my words. Really animate on is, now we're working with stems.
Yep.
And, we just launched Stem Drop, which is a platform where creatives can literally go to TikTok, access this website, get stems from a legendary producer, songwriter, whatever, from someone like a Max Martin, create their own version of a record, right?
Yep.
And I think about that in relation to the future of music. And, we have a question from Everett Moon. He wants to know, Amber, do you think TikTok will dictate the future of music?
TikTok is dictating the future of music.
So you're saying it's already happening. It's literally, yep,
Y'all know that too.
Yeah.
There's yeah, people are literally going around calling people TikTok artists, which is disrespectful, and saying something's a TikTok song, and it's like something's a TikTok song because you're not on TikTok and you don't know what everybody's listening to
Consuming?
and
Yes. No, I agree.
engaging with,
There
right? If TikTok didn't translate to streams, then we'd have a conversation here. There has never been a thing as an Instagram song.
mm,
I've been on Instagram since the
mm.
onset. My Instagram, you go to the last picture, I think it's '09, or like I've been there. And there's never been a song that's popular or known or broken or even introduced on TikTok. Can't say the same about MySpace. Soldier Boy came from MySpace. Tila Tequila came from MySpace. MySpace was a platform that was about music discovery. Instagram is not. TikTok is a new music discovery platform. And from Gail to Baby Tate Hey Mickey to the resurgence of a Natasha Bedingfield song where people probably didn't even know these kids probably know who the hell she is. Iconic,
Yep.
they should have. It, it's already here. This isn't the future. TikTok, and it's not TikTok dictating, forgive me, it's not TikTok dictating the future of music. It is the people on TikTok. It is Gen Z, it is the users on TikTok that now have a chance to share the truth about what people want to hear and what people like and what's fun and songs that didn't get enough attention and songs that were ahead of their time and songs that still sound good to this day. They're timeless. It is literally just shining a light on things and taking away the idea that music gets old, or
Absolutely.
like that's it, or that somebody with no promotion or somebody who's making music in their bedroom don't deserve a chance because they're not signed to a label. It is literally just the truth. And if people have a problem with that, it doesn't matter.
No, I love that so much, and I love how you're keeping this in parallel with the previous social media engines, like a MySpace, because I was big on MySpace. I was definitely in Cleveland, Ohio, and Shaker Middle
Thank
School,
you.
going
Look, big
around
on MySpace.
making people's pages. Was literally that's how I believe that I've been able to be in some of the rooms and spaces I am today. I always credit it back to MySpace. Like I went to NYU and created a degree around hip hop and social media and argued, that MySpace was very pivotal and now Black millennials being seen as these digital artifacts. When at one time we were seen as quote unquote super predators, but now we are some of the most game changing, like people online and in some of these corporations today. So that makes me go into my next question because first off, I am a sucker for like great strategy, marketing everywhere, and just like gut feelings. Like I feel like sometimes the culture like lives in my gut. And I would love to talk about Baby Tate right now because I don't know if I've seen something like this. And if I have, Amber, please correct me. If we've seen it in history, correct me.
You haven't.
You guys just period. I just wanted to let them know. You ain't never seen this before, but you guys just dropped a dance video. I believe it's by Nicole Kirkland. I love the choreography, all of that. To this Hey Mickey record, which samples a phenomenal, like pop nostalgic hit. And it is now viral today.
Hmm?
Like, but you dropped it 7 years ago. It was
Tate
dropped
dropped
7 years ago.
Tate dropped it 7 years ago on her own, doing her thing because she has been working on her career and like passionate about being an artist. Also, somebody else from Atlanta that's been doing their thing for so long. And at LVRN, she just joined our team a little over a year ago on the management side. We partner with her and her longtime management, Quinn, and you know, we were all on vacation in December trying to decompress from the year, figure out what's next. And Quinn sent me a screenshot and was like, hey, Mickey, a song that Tate made like in 2016, it has 12,000 streams right now. It was originally doing maybe 50 streams a day. I think the exact number is 47. And he said, hey, this shot up to 12,000. Like, let's keep an eye on it. And I know from our time at LVRN working on when Summer Song Karma started going up because of the sped up version on TikTok, that even when something shows a little bit, you need to pay attention. It is
Yeah.
a cause for alarm. I don't care. Like 12,000 a day from 47. I'm not about to do the math right now, but that's a huge jump. So let's pay attention to it. Um, and I think this isn't the first time, obviously, that we've seen a song go viral on TikTok, but the rate at which this song was moving, it was growing like 100,000 streams on Spotify a day. So we're
Wow.
like, let's keep our eye on it. And every day our eye is like is my eyes deceiving me? Like it was it was going nuts. And what I've learned from viral records that I worked on Trackstar Mooskie's song at Capitol,
Mm.
all the way from having our own thing going on with Summer, and then having this new thing happen, kind of like three different viralities that I've been through. I say, yo, we have to move fast. The whole team understood we need to move fast. Tate, I'm gonna talk about her in a minute.
Okay.
Everybody said we have to move fast. Regularly, what people do or labels do, whatever, when a song goes viral, is they sit and watch and wait to see what happens. That is terrible strategy. It is not strategy at all. It does
Mm.
not work, and it will not get you where you're trying to go. And you may also stop yourself from getting where the song was intended to go, because watching, waiting doesn't produce any type of results. And so
Right.
our thing at LVRN, and specifically with this song, was like, let's get active. If people want to hear it, how can we make them want to hear it more? How can we make one more person want to listen to it tomorrow? And so we started putting together a plan, and I'm going to skip right to it. The biggest part of the plan is the artist being an artist and caring that their song is going viral and being excited that this is happening and leaning in to what's happening. Baby
Wow.
Tate is one of the most incredible content creators that I've ever gotten to work with. And she's one of the only artists that I see start trends. She doesn't join into trends, she
She
starts
started
them.
them. Yeah, she does. Yeah.
So I think we all saw maybe like 4 months ago her start a makeup trend with her song Differences. And
Mm.
then this Hey Mickey trend started out from God bless the K-pop community, by the way. Um, big shout out to the K-pop community, because it started from fan cam edits from members of BTS, and just it was very random. And then Tate started making content, and she made a makeup trend for it. And so as it kept building, now everybody's doing Tate's makeup trend, and it's turned into several other things since then. But the artist leaning in is so important and saying, hey, this is my record. Oh my God, I'm so excited that you guys love this. Like, what else can we do with it? Let's do some mashups. I'm going to make a video every day. Make a piece of content every day. Go like everybody who is using your content. Reply to the comments, reply with video. She does it all. She took it over to Instagram and say, hey, Instagram, this is what's happening on TikTok. She took it over to Twitter and is like, here's old footage of me 7 years ago performing this song. And then other people started sending in footage of her performing it. And it just becomes like not only just a viral moment, but a beautiful storytelling for artists.
Yeah. It's a snowball effect.
If you keep rolling it down the hill,
Yeah. Yeah. You got to keep
you
the
you, you
manpower
have to.
behind it.
You
Yeah.
can't expect it to just. I don't know a lot about snow, but you can't expect it to just go down the hill just because it's downhill. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's just been incredible, and the dance video came together as just a part of that action. You know, it like, what can we do fast? Because I noticed Chris Brown had one of the most incredible viral moments that's still happening this year with Under the Influence, and his video for that song came about like a year after it started going viral. And also, like, shout out to him for keeping a song going viral for over a year now. It's extremely
Yeah.
impressive. But with Tate, we were like, okay, you're in LA. We need to get some content made. We need to dance to this real quick. Like, let's hit up Nicole Kirkland, who's so like infamous for putting together this choreography. And she even did the Under the Influence video that has 20 million views today. Let's see if she's interested to work with you. Tate went in there, learned the dance in 4 minutes. The rest was history. We shot it. The girls were incredible. Like, videos out. You can't ask for a better artist. You can't ask for a better opportunity. But what you do with the opportunity is super important. And I'll shut up now. But I'll
No,
be excited about my stuff.
I love that you brought this up because the chat is going crazy. They're like,
Hey, chat. I
yo,
can't see
like
them, but hey, chat.
Yes, I mean, there's like she's dropping gems. Like, shout out to Eddie. He's like, hello. People are like, wow, they love the gems being dropped. This is great. Someone just said, yep, Hey Mickey is at 44 million streams. I'm looking at it.
Okay, data.
You got to remember the numbers. But no, I think this is really compelling because for any future, creatives are or artists listening in right now, a lot of times, even within this studio I'm at right now, Lunar Labs, we have these conversations about, how can you continue to drive a record? And I've been so animate on this. Yo, if you just post on Instagram once a day, one time, like that's not gonna cut it. You can't do that no more. Like we're so past that. Like what are the legs and the extra engines that you're building around your record? It doesn't even have to be a record. Maybe it's a makeup brand. Maybe you selling toothpaste. But what is driving, consumers back to that toothpaste? And I feel like you bring up a good point. It's like you have to care. And
Yeah.
I think the care part is something that is so pivotal, but it gets missed a lot of times within our industry. So I did want to ask too, to keep the conversation going. What is some of the, most impactful advice you've gotten, along your journey? I feel like a lot of times we get the word like inspiring, but what are those, like impactful taglines or motivational quotes or moments or that you have gotten and or experienced along your journey that has helped you today?
Every time somebody asks me this question, I always have the same answer. So I guess it like actually is the most impactful thing anybody's ever told me. But I have always been somebody who wanted to do a lot. I still am that person. I want to do everything. Because it's my 24 hours and how I spend it is my business. And if I want to do it working and trying to do
Period.
this and that and being a multi hyphenate, I'm going to do it because that's my choice. But a while ago, it had to have been like maybe 8 to 7 years ago now. Leslie Braithwaite, who's like an iconic mixing engineer. I've managed a studio and I'm always telling him like, I want to do this, but now I want to do this. And then when I get, in 5 years, I'll be doing this, but in 2 years, I'm about to start doing this. And then, and he would tell me like, hey, like, I believe all of this. I believe that you can accomplish all of this. But if you just pick one thing, if you pick one thing right now and focus on that one thing, you'll get to do everything. But if you keep focusing on everything, you won't do anything. And I'm like, oh, shot to the heart. Ah, how dare you say that I can't, you know what I'm saying? But like I took that advice and focused on what I was trying to do in my executive career in music, and I doubled down on that, and because of that I have had the opportunity to do so many things. I've had the opportunity even in my work life to like to produce things and direct something and to be talent in this and to host things and to do all of these things that I dreamed of doing, but only because I doubled down on the one thing that was going to get me there. And I appreciate them so much for that advice because I truly believe that if I didn't focus, I would still be that little girl sitting in, maybe not that studio, but managing some studio, dreaming about all the things that I wanted to do. But I was able to make decisions and make moves and figure out where I needed to be and where I needed to leave because I was focused on one thing that I was trying to accomplish. And the other things came as gifts to me, as gifts as a reward for doing what I was asked to do, to just focus. And so I give that advice to anybody. It's not to say you can't be 100,000 things, but
Yeah.
just do one, finish something, focus on one thing, and you'll get to do everything. And I'm a living proof of that.
Yeah, I think it's the saying you gotta master something, before you can master,
Something. And I
all of
love
it.
being a
Yeah.
jack of all trades, by the way. Still am, always will be. I'm a Swiss
Same.
Army knife, but I know what I'm really good at. I
Yeah.
know what I'm really good at and what people come to me for, and the rest of it I learn after that. But you have to have a thing. Everybody has to have a thing that they come to you for. That's that's what a brand is, right? Like everybody has to come to you for something. Everybody might like you, but listen. I do my makeup to Doja Cat, and I cry in the car to SZA. You got to come to people
Okay.
for something.
It's so funny. I thought you was about to say, like, because I do my own stunts. Like, I
Right.
I thought
Put
you was,
that
but
in the bio.
You know, like drop that down. But no, like that's a really good point. And I feel like to bring it back to LVRN because you guys just had your, second annual all hands, which is I saw as like a team building moment. What was that experience like for you? And for those that aren't familiar with, the town hall, I mean, your all hands and just the team building that you guys are implementing within, your organization. How does team building and having these, all hands, really keep you guys well and functional?
Yeah, I mean, so that before my days of corporate America, I've always worked with independent companies like LVRN. So
Same.
back in
Mhm.
the day, working with K Camp and his label 427, working with Mike Will and Ear Drummers, and that's where my heart is, and so I'm happy to be back at
Who
home.
you working with for the people that don't know? Can you just go back and say that just for because I just don't think they understand like one, we're in Black History Month, so I'm about to like big up all our, like legends or whatever. But like, no, because your resume is like it's like a knife. It's like,
Oh yeah, everybody always starts at Spotify, and they're like, "Yeah, the Spotify girl," and I'm like, "Damn, that's probably like my shortest stint." Like, no disrespect, but like, yeah, I'm from Atlanta, so my career, officially started working with Boo Chom, who's Akon's younger brother, at a company called
hmm,
Boo Vision. Working with him and Con on everything that they were building with their label Convict. Going from there to working with K Camp, who I'd known since I was 18 years old, and his label 427. So working on his management team, at the time of Money Baby and all the incredible records that he had.
wow.
And then going and working with Mike Will, who I also know since I was probably 18 or 19 years old, at Eardrummers, putting out his Ransom 2 and just helping him build his brand as a producer. These are like my friends and my family and my brothers. And so one of the things is like when you work like that, like one, these are all major artists and major companies, but they're like people I grew up with. And so sometimes when you're working together with your friends, it's like friend work, and the thing that I wanted to do differently this time when I made a decision to go back from corporate America, I guess, to back into this friend space, fortunately with LVRN, a company that has become so, over time, just, you know what it is that like we have to operate like they do. We have to operate like the massive corporate companies, like the major labels, and we still keep that heart in it and that culture and that family feeling, but we still have to operate like that to be as successful as them. And all hands was something that I learned from Spotify. They would
Wow.
whole they get the town hall, they get the whole company together, and Daniel would show up and like, address the whole staff and let us ask questions and talk about what's new. And it was like probably one of the most exciting things that I'd been a part of at a company, because I've never had that. It was kind of like everybody's trying to figure it out. And
Right? Yeah.
cool. It was cool for somebody, literally the biggest person, the creator of the company, to come and set the tone for the year. And so, in sitting with the boys and how serious they take their company, it was important to them and all of us to say, like, hey, let's do this thing. Even though there's like only 25 of us, it doesn't matter. Like, let's have
Mhm.
all hands. Let's set our expectations for the top of the year. And we actually have two all hands. We have one at the top of the year, and then we do a mid-year all hands to check back in, right? And say, okay, have we accomplished what we said we were going to accomplish at the first part of the year? If we haven't, what do we need to do to get on track? And if we have, amazing for us. What's next? Because now we have time. Like, let's get on to the next thing. And we celebrate our artists, we celebrate their releases, we celebrate our staff. Um, it's a time to give our staff information and tell them where our head is at, so they understand what's expected of them and
Yeah.
what we're looking for, whether it be industry trends or just like what we're trying to accomplish with like new artists like Black, who's back and has music coming.
What I'm
Um,
excited for. Like,
you
I'm
know,
so excited.
your staff needs to know what's important to you. And we've had so many announcements, right? We don't want our staff just finding out what's happening on Instagram with
Right, right.
that's crazy. So we want to be the first people to give the good news, and introduce people like Brian Michael Cox and have him sitting in the all hands with the whole staff. Like, it's just when I get excited, I keep going. So just like if somebody needs to play some music, but
Yeah, you're
yeah,
good. You're good.
company culture is important to us, and everybody gets up and speaks about their department and talks about their staff and what's new and what's next, and it's a cool time. And then we go play games, and we went to this place called Beat the Bomb, and we got like Nickelodeon slimed, and it was like a whole thing. We like we got a really fun thing going on.
Not y'all took it back to the 90s. I love me some Nickelodeon. No, for real. Like
You gotta have fun. Like we still have to. It can't be work all the time, and you gotta have those opportunities to bond with your staff and with your coworkers, so it just doesn't always feel
man.
miserable.
No, it's so essential, and I really do. I know there's a lot of like young creatives and entrepreneurs like listening in, but that bonding aspect, it really does remind me of you guys remind me of each other a little bit. I'm a Capricorn, so my birthday is January
I-
5th.
I'm curious.
And yes, Aquarius,
You
yes.
just missed it.
I know it's energy there, but like I always think about, the Aquarius, I think about Oprah and I think about Capricorn. I think about Issa Rae, who is like
Yeah.
making a name for herself. And you just said something that really reminded me of this quote that she said that's a sound bite that I keep in my mind all the time is, how she literally worked across and they all came up together. She was like, I didn't run straight to Tyler Perry. I didn't run straight to Oprah. I saw and recognized my friends and my peers beside me and said, we're going to, build and come up together. So the question I have for you before I jump into some questions from the live chat, I'm gonna get to y'all because it's chat is booming. It's going crazy. Um, how do you maintain or what's some aside from like the team bonding, we got there, what is that balance between, business and friendship? Like,
Um,
how do you maintain that line of just like, all right, we ain't playing right now. We actually got some work to do.
the level of respect that we all at LVRN have for each other and each other's expertise is astronomical. It's not measurable. Um, we're put together. The company has always been put together very well, even between five guys who are friends, for many years, being able to keep something together and keep it moving forward in a positive direction for
Yeah.
10 years already says enough, right? And then you add my crazy ass into the equation with my strong opinions, and like, well, I'm here with the women's perspective, and this is what it is. The respect that we have for each other and what we do well is why it works, because we have, with that trust comes respect, and we all have a loyalty to each other, and we
Mhm.
communicate. And on the one part, like, we've all known each other for over a decade. I met Tunde and Sean when I was 16, 17 years old. I
Wow.
used to throw parties with Carlin in college. So when I was like 20, and Junior and Justice, always known them around Atlanta for over a decade, and all the ways that we got to work together as they were building the company. And so we know what each other does. So there's no question on if this is right or if this is wrong, or your opinion or that. It is just respectful. And the thing that I'll say about them too, coming in and seeing how great therapy was for them as a unit. Um, we all do a lot of like sessions together, whether they're led by anybody or just these guys are so mentally evolved that we will all stop if something's out of hand and say, yo, like, this is why I'm what you said, this is how I heard it. And I don't,
Mm.
can you tell me what you meant? Because like I'm taking offense to this, like I'm upset, and like I don't want to be upset with you. So like, what did you mean when you said that? Well, okay, cool. Well, you're bringing up some old stuff. Well, let's talk it out. Let's stop right now and figure
Right.
out what is going on here so we can move forward. And so we don't fight it. It's not a pretend thing that like is always perfect, but we communicate with each other and we communicate with respect. And it not only minimizes a lot of those issues, but those issues get dealt with that anybody would deal with, and there's no ego. Because I've known you since you were a kid. I've known you since you weren't driving a G Wagon and there wasn't no chain, and we were all trying to figure it out. And the fact that we're all here together, I have nothing but respect for my brothers, and they have nothing but respect for me, and we have respect for our staff because we see us in them. And it's just that's what
Hmm.
it
Man, that is beautiful, first off. And it's the perfect pivot into the question that I did have for you in relation to LVRN. How has LVRN been able to implement mental wellness, for their artists through programming, over the past couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, so our eh, the artist at LVRN, I knew Aspen was gonna get one cameo and he
Hey,
couldn't.
Aspen, we got a guest, y'all.
I knew it. He couldn't wait. Our I think LVRN's artists, when you think about Summer Walker and Black,
Mhm.
they've already been sharing so vulnerably their stories and their feelings, and whether it be on social media through their music or whatever. So LVRN at the time when they decided to start their mental health initiative, it only made sense because you had one artist that was dealing with anxiety out and open in the public,
Yeah,
trying to get through shows, and her having to reveal this information because of how people act on social media, because people just have no they don't give anybody any grace anymore. And these artists get no grace
absolutely, I agree. Yeah,
for being human, right? I
yeah,
feel that we just kind of walked ourselves into having to talk about mental health and making it a priority and figuring out solutions because our artists needed it. And they were promoting it on their own. And so, like, as a label, if you care about your artists, you don't just care about their music, you care about everything that they care about. And so it was like a no-brainer. And then Sarita Butler, who's the incredible therapist that we work with, who is able to come in and shape how that looked, not only for the staff but for the executives and for the artists. um it like, one, shout out to Black women always figuring stuff out. Y'all great. You the bomb. But it's just an incredible thing that, we've been able to do, just like different, Black's done a lot of speaking events.
yeah.
Him and Summer, I'm blanking on the name of this YouTube content series that they did about mindfulness, but it's like a 30-minute interview of them speaking
Mhm.
through, their mental state, which is fantastic. And then just like having access to therapy, it doesn't matter how old you are. I didn't know anything or feel comfortable about saying I wanted to go to therapy, or like questioning like how to find a therapist or anything like that, probably into my early 30s. So I just think that providing the resource was how you kind of bridge the gap there, just making the conversation not taboo, making sure somebody knows they can ask. Our management clients also, it's a big part of why people come here, and we've been able to source therapists for them as well. So it's crazy to me how, with all of the death that we deal with in the music industry, which they didn't never put on the job description,
Yeah, man.
um, you know, that not being a priority for a company that deals in this business is just like, it's dated, it's whack. And we always want to be ahead, and we can't just be ahead in sound and creativity. We need to be ahead in social issues as well. And so that's why the mental health thing is just extremely important to the company. It always will be. And we're open to more programming. We want to do more stuff. But we had to make sure that we were good internally before we started making an external show out of what we were.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, seriously, that's because mental health and wellness, it's a not only is it sensitive, but it should have care. It should be talked about and discussed with care. And, but for those that don't know, you have a background in fitness and, just overall health as well. For
You
those
are in my business. Go ahead, tell the
not me
people.
telling on myself, but, for those who may not be like a little industry nerd like myself that just like studies the greats and like first off, you're somebody that people have tried to align me with over the past, like 8 years. I live in LA now. I'm in Inglewood and Lunar Labs, but I moved here from New York. I
Nice.
was in New York for about like almost 10 years and I would always get, "You need to meet Amber. You need to work with Amber. You need to be out there." And I'm like, "Okay, it's gonna happen one day. Okay,
Look
okay."
at God.
So anyway, I say all that to say, like, what was your background and career in fitness, and has that also, still played a role in your life today? Like, are you also still into, fitness and the whole culture of working out?
Yeah, so I in my younger days of career that people forget, I was doing influencer marketing with Reebok, and I was the girl that was running around like giving everybody free shoes, and my whole
Mm.
thing always was like, all right, when I talk about flipping your game, it was like, what's next? Because my contract with Reebok, I'm sure, is going to run out at some point, and I want to figure out like how I can keep this relationship with them because I love them and I love what I get to do. And so one thing that was really important to me, I started working out just to take care of myself. I think at one point it was like right when I was in between jobs, and I was like, at least if I'm gonna be broke, I'm gonna look good. And so I was working out.
I don't look like what I've been through. Okay, we don't look like what we've been through.
I was working out. I was posting my workouts on Instagram, and then people started asking to work out with me. And
Wow.
I was like, cool, like just pull up. And so I would start having people come, to my gym where I lived, and start training people. And then I was like, okay, cool. So now I figured it out. This is when I was not focused, by the way. So just want to let you guys know. So I had decided that I was going to be like the Jane Fonda of
Hey.
fitness. And I started this thing where I was like, hey, these women in the entertainment industry, we can be a little nasty to each other, or like
Mm.
even, we might not even be being nasty, but we're just not as like cordial with each other as we should be, because we're in this like little rat race that somebody made up. I don't know who made it up, as if there's not enough room for all of us. But when
Right.
we get in a room, we're not nice. And so I was
Mm.
thinking like, the only time when I feel like everybody's really nice to each other is when they're in a sports bra, because everybody has some type of insecurity about their body. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you think you're too small, too this, too that. Everybody, when you're working out, you have a little bit of you're not wearing so much ego on your shoulder. You don't have on much. And so I was like, how can I get all the women in the business to come to this event where we all work out together and just like create this sisterhood in sweat, if you will. And so I made this event called Power Women Sweat, and Reebok, I pitched it to them. And so they would send me a bunch of shoes and sponsor the event for all the women. And it was just like a beautiful time. And at that time I was working out, I was into yoga, and I know how much yoga changed my life.
Yes. I'm
Just
yoga.
like I can't express like when you can like touch your head with your toe, nothing bothers you. I'm serious. When you can
Oh,
like
it's true.
when you can like really bend your back, and then like the next day you can bend your back more, and then like you reach your back bending goal, it's really hard for people to make you uncomfortable, or for you to be in a situation where you can't figure it out, right? Because like this is like how the physical started to become the mental for me. And so, what I will say, one of the things that we did at LVRN, the mental health initiative started out as, access to therapy. And then as we were reevaluating the future of it, what we decided to do last year was make this plan evolve. And so we started what's called the Do You plan, simply so you can do you, because therapy is not for everybody. Therapy is not how everybody finds their peace. And so for me, it was yoga. And so knowing that I could relate to that, we do a stipend every month for our staff, a mental health stipend to use however they want, because mental health for somebody might be not struggling to pay their phone bill. And mental health for somebody else might be doing yoga. Mental health for somebody might be their therapy session. So we kind of opened it up to do you. Whatever it is that makes you feel good, here's a little extra so you can make sure you take care of yourself. And so that's where that kind of my experience at fitness with fitness and what it meant to me, and what finding yoga meant to me, and being able to share that access to resources to our staff kind of meet.
No, that the fact that mental health, and I love that you mentioned, we're in a space now. I think about this quote from Jadakiss when he mentioned, you know, I'm watching millennial and Gen Z lose more MCs and artists than we did back in my day. Like, so I do think as we kind of continue going forward, mental health and wellness is going to be pivotal and essential, because everyone has a different lens of mental health and wellness and how they get through their day and their moments. And I see them books in your background, which makes me go into a question from Bailey Hart. Shout out to the chat because they're loving you. They're like, period, so important. That is key. Like we got some ha-has. They laughing at you, like in a good way. They laughing with you, not at you. So but no, we have a question from Bailey Hart that says, what books, have you used or would you recommend for young creatives or, young professionals or, like anyone even today that's, still has a stronghold on their career? Are there any books that you have read along your journey that you could share with the chat?
Absolutely. So, tangible advice, I would say I'm obsessed with these two books. I've started with one called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, and then I found out there was a sister book called The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding. And so, like, those are like Bibles to me, as far as like brand building goes for artists. It's real tangible information about how to market something, how to go to market with something, how to arrive to market when there's competition and prevail, and just all of this really, to me, artists, are what they create is a product. And I'm obsessed with not other artists, but I'm obsessed with products, like learning about Coke and learning about Nike and learning about how these big businesses, Levi's, are able to last throughout time for so long. And so, like, as an artist, if you want to have that same type of longevity, I want to know how to make your product the best and how to make you as a product, as a brand, the best brand that you can be. So these books are kind of like a general study of brands that we all know and love. But
Mm,
there's so much to apply to what you do, not only for artists, but for anything that you're building. So if you're trying to start a company, if you are a brand, I liken everybody. If you have an Instagram, you have a brand. And if you don't have an Instagram, then that is your brand. It is it is very important to understand what you're doing and how to do it and how to show yourself to the consumer, and find your audience and all those things. So I live by those books right now because they give tangible advice. um, and outside of tangible advice, um, I'm a big self-help person and I love a little like new age bullshit. um, Um, so I will, I think I say, in any time I speak, that Conversations with God is my all-time number one favorite book ever
Ooh,
in life. And I won't
okay,
even go
because
on.
I don't know. I didn't not to cut you off. I just want to say I don't think you get to where you are without faith. Like I believe, and I think that's something I've even, been inspired by from your journey and your story is that I was like, I know this is a woman of faith. You can't reach some of the pinnacles or be in some of the rooms that you have been able to shape, shift, and redefine without faith. So I'm curious to know, how your faith has evolved, over time. If that's a question you can answer for us.
Yeah, I'm 1,000% a woman of faith, but 100,000% a woman of gratitude, because you really don't get
Mhm.
anywhere without appreciating where you've been and where you're at, and the fact that you're even there. And I feel that a lot of the time, people working on being successful or people as successful, we end up having these moments where we realize we weren't appreciating the journey. So then you get everything that you want and you have everything that you ever asked for, and you're like, still something's missing,
Mm,
because it's not really the things, like it's the journey, it's the people that you meet, it's the feelings, it's all of these things that you'll miss if you're just like focus on the money or focus on something that doesn't really matter. And so
yeah.
I just, through a practice of things that I've read with Conversations with God, through the book The Secret has a lot on gratitude. It's really
My
about
mom loves that book. She's watching too right now. So
oh, amazing.
she loves that book, yeah.
Early, so super early in my career, before the Spotify gig or any of that stuff that everyone's so excited about, I used to write down, everyday gratitude, and I would email it to myself and to my friend Laura, who really taught me everything that I know about it. And it wasn't like, the evolving of it was like, I would get like a parking ticket and I would have to say like thank you, like that I'm glad that I can pay for this. I'm grateful that I have the money, that I have $50 to get this boot off, $75 if you live in Atlanta. I'm grateful that I have the money for this boot. I'm grateful that I can pay my light bill this week. I'm grateful for having met this person because they may be a part of how I changed my life. I'm grateful for having been at this event just to be in the room, and it wasn't just like about people doing things for you or achieving something. It was literally like that I learned to be grateful for whatever position that I was in at the moment, and being present is just, I cannot explain how important it will be. I know there's a lot of young people in here that like
Yeah.
when we're chasing after something, it's really hard to be present because all you're thinking about is the future. And there's totally a way to do both at the same time.
No,
That's as deep as I can get about it without going over time.
no, I love that, and we have a question too that really points to that. We have Desiree Charity who says, "Hi Amber, what's your advice to those of you who are looking to pivot a career in working in the music industry, but their educational background or working experience isn't music related?" And also, they want to say thank you for just being a huge R&B lover, and they appreciate everything LVRN is doing.
You're welcome. Okay. I'm the perfect and the worst person to ask this question to.
Uh oh.
Um, I'm the worst person to ask the question to because if you want to make a change in life, you should just change it. You should just do it. If just quit. If you want to, if you want, I'm a huge quitter. I endorse quitting. I really hope that nobody goes out right now and says, you know what, she's right. Tomorrow I'm out of here because there's like a
Maybe just
little,
go listen to Break My Soul. Release the
yeah.
anger, release the job.
There's a little bit more that goes into it, right? Because you should have a level of preparedness, but like I am totally about getting prepared to jump out the window if you want to, because if you're having that feeling, you just got to go. If you want everything to change, you have to change everything, which is also a book that I love. And you just do it if you feel it, because you're not feeling it for no reason. And what I would say about not having the experience or the background, I'm a college dropout. I don't remember
Wow.
anything that I learned my sophomore year of college. I was not present in the moment. I only I made it to
Wow.
yeah, it like anyway, the only thing I remember
No, I know somebody is
like
listening to that right now, and you probably just, like, really made their day because I feel like specifically with Gen Z, and I don't know if it's because of the emergence of, take the technology boom, for them. I'm like a younger millennial, so I consider myself still on that leg of millennial, but I understand, like Gen Z a lot of times. But
I,
yeah. Mhm.
I'll say like you can't be what you can't see, and so that's why I'm so
Woo.
forward about that. I'm a college dropout. Every one of the founders of LVRN except for Sean, I believe, is a college dropout. And we figured it out, and we're doing great, and like there's information everywhere, and we make sure that we go and get it. But one big point that I always make when we talk about dropping out of school, you have to work 20 times harder if that's the decision that you make. So I am not
Gotta be
here
a balance.
empowering, endorsing anybody to not go through with their education, because me, and when I turn 50, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going back to school. I hope you guys hire me if you need something. I love law and I love crime, and I'm going to be a lawyer because that's my dream. And I'm going to have to go and get my education for that. So one, if you choose a profession where you need to have a degree, go and get your degree. Don't be silly. You cannot pretend to be a doctor. We saw somebody do that. It did not work out for them. If you want to be creative, you are then responsible, if you drop out of school, to get all of the information, all of the knowledge, all of the mentorship, everything you have to go get on your own. It is not for the weak. I am not weak. I took that thing and I wrote it out to as far as I could go, and I'm still learning every day. That's why I read books, because I feel like I'm
Mm.
left out of some conversation, or there's some information that I didn't get because of the choice that I made, and so I have to make up for it and make up for it by reading and asking questions and finding mentorship any way that I can. So if you make the decision, you should know you can still be successful. You can always be successful. But if you make the decision, no, you have to work harder than everybody else who went the other path. And that's my spiel on that.
No, I love that because you touched on a word that I say around UMG a lot when I'm trying to, showcase why I felt like a senior manager lifestyle and culture role was important. Like shout out to my big gang, he what, he said, "What title do you want?" I said, "I think this makes sense for me and how I'm seeing, like things moving forward." Because, I feel like we are in a time and in a space where it is more essential than ever to like just hold that confidence. And it's not easy, you know what I'm saying, with everything that's going on. It's not easy to maintain, to be your own motivator, to be your own, like, or just keep those daily, like affirmations going. But we do have a question.
Hit
Mhm.
on, sorry, I'm about to ask myself a question.
Okay.
You hit on something very important that I want people to understand too, that like if there's no space for you where you want to be, you can create it. And I have my half of my career I can attribute to making up jobs and making up job titles and going and justifying why that job is needed in this ecosystem where that I'm looking at what you have and what you're missing. And those to me, when they're treated well and not wasted, are the most important roles at companies a lot of the time. Because these traditional roles that have been around for hundreds of years, just like social media, the corporate companies have to evolve too. So you're important.
Absolutely.
You're needed in UMG if it wasn't needed 10 years ago, because now you're able to provide this. You know what I'm saying? So I think for the person who asked that question, also, who said that you don't have the experience? You know,
Mm.
that's you saying that. What is it that you are good at that allows you to believe that you're qualified for that role, and go and tell them why your experience that you do have is important and what value you bring to the company. Because like my a lot of my most qualifying experience is because I'm a young black woman, and that is not taught in college.
At all. And it's really not. And it's you. I'm like, I'm gonna get real nerdy here because you brought up, like law, crime, and PhD, like Amber, like I
Love
created
crime.
it for the people that are listening or inspiring. Like if you are in that educational right, and if you're still in school, like I created my master's degree. Like first person in my family to go to, like college on my mom's side. My dad is originally born in Kingston, Jamaica. So, that's where he is now. So, they're all streaming from Twitch in Kingston. But
Hey
education,
y'all.
log on. But education is so essential, to not only, both sides of my family, but I think for me as well, being from Cleveland, Ohio, and watching 106 in Park. I remember seeing like the Hey Ma video and watching that from, the middle of like 116th Street. But I was just like, I know I'm gonna get there at some point. But you touch on, like you got to create it, you got to go after it. So I said, all right, I may not be from a city like Atlanta. I may not be from a city like New York or LA, but if I can create the degree and show these
Yeah.
schools and kind of use it as a passport to say, like, hey, maybe you should start creating classes around hip hop and politics because there are students like me that see, a career path in this. And we have 15 minutes left with you. I don't want to take up
Oh,
all.
okay. I'm sorry. Let's go back to the questions. That's my fault. Okay, I messed it
Yes.
up.
So for, our last 15 minutes, I definitely wanted to dive in more of these questions. We have a question that I think is really interesting. This is more so not from the educational background, but they're coming from the background of freelance. Jane Tanan, sorry I pronounced that wrong, wants to know, how does someone who feels like they keep doing everything, and they're, they have so much experience, but they're freelance, but somehow they keep meeting a brick wall when it comes to really getting in that opportunity or connection. Like, what advice can you give to someone who's in that freelancing world, ready for their big break or the moment to finally have some consistent stability?
I have so many follow-up questions, so I really
Mhm.
wish that I could bring her onto the screen, um, so I
Right?
could like I want to fully answer a question. And so like, I, the only thing like I can say is like I worked for myself before. You know, I my Cardi brand agency. What is this like 8, 10 years ago was you know, I was taking on clients on my own and trying to figure it out and trying to make a steady paycheck. And I guess the best advice I can give you from my experience was like I had to create my own opportunities. And so at the time I was doing a lot of social media management. And what I would do is go to different businesses' social media page and I would either find their email or I get their or DM them. I would study their page and then I would send them an email about everything that was wrong with their page and say like, "Hey, your social media page sucks, but I can fix it." And so I would
Mhm.
present them a problem and also present myself as a solution, and that paid my rent a lot of months. So I would say that, you know, if that's something that you're already doing, creating these opportunities, you know, the last thing I'll say is that you got to be patient. The path
Mm,
that you chose,
patience, yeah.
the path you chose is not easy. You're betting on yourself. There's no regular paycheck, there's no salary. You're betting on yourself. So like if it doesn't, it might happen in 5 years, it might happen in 10 years, it might happen in 5 months, but when it happens, you're gonna like it's going to be incredible. So like
Yeah.
do what you have to do a side job, do some shit that you don't, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss. Do some, I've been doing so well up until now. Do some stuff that you don't want to do, that you have to do, but if you stay focused on what it is you're trying to do, you just timing is so different for everybody. You just have to stay on it. The only thing that can make it not happen for you is if you stop.
Absolutely. I completely agree, and I'm someone I feel like I've been working since I was, like, 6 years old. So, when you think about, wanting those opportunities, it's like, "Alright, great," but it's also, and I hate to sound cliche, but you touch on the point, it's like, what opportunities or ecosystems are you also creating for yourself? So when these opportunities do align with you, you got the confidence and the faith to go and say, "Boom," like, "This is I know why I'm here." Um
I have so many questions for her. I'm like, how are you marketing yourself? And like, are you giving your content out on, you know, I find so many like creatives that I want to work with on TikTok because they're just giving away their creative. And I go, man, that person should be doing album covers or whatever. Like,
Mm.
yeah, tell her to DM me. I'm like, like
Man,
DM
you
me
see
later.
that, Amber? Oh my gosh, she said, "Amber, thank you so much. You about to make me cry." So, Jane, make sure you DM her. I have and I think this is a great question because I feel like I think this is a great question to kind of segue, wrap up a little bit. One, thank you for going for like bar for bar with me. You know what I'm saying? Like here, but we are, talking about the essence of it is Black History Month. This is the essence of Black entrepreneurship, impactful industry vets like yourself. We are in a Black owned space. We have a question from Virginia Forrest, who wants to know, what are some of the things you would recommend indie artists do when they're just starting out? And I think it is an interesting question because I think sometimes, and I would love your opinion on this too, I feel like the lines between like independent and underground are starting to get a little blurred. I feel like when we was in that 09, 08, blog era, when we had Rocky, Drake, Nicki, Cole, Wale,
Yeah.
all of them coming out, we was having a conversation of like, all right, what's underground or what's not, and I'm thinking about even artists like Ginger Rust, who's been on covers of, like Tidal, Rising, R&B and things like that, but at the same time, she doesn't have a major behind her yet. So, what can indie artists be doing now who are starting out to really magnify and propel their careers so they can one day have a legacy and a story like Love Renaissance?
Promote themselves.
Heard that? Put it in the chat.
That's it. Like when people ask like, oh, how do I get started? Get started. Start doing something, anything, particularly promotion. I think Jasmine said it earlier. Nobody will hear your song if you post it once. That's not how the internet works. It's not how the algorithm works. It's not how Big Brother works. It's not how any of the system that you believe in works. You should be posting your music so much that it annoys people so that you can immediately find out who needs to unfollow you and who's not annoyed by you because they really like you and who stays. You should post about things that you like. You should post about things that you don't like. You should post about what you're eating. You should post about if you are into anime or if you go live on Twitch and make beats or whatever it is you do. This is like the internet is one of the only places where you can talk to people and reach people and show people that you don't know who you are and what your music sounds like and I say all the who you are because like now it's incredible that like people don't even have to like your music to be a fan of you. Because
Right.
people,
No, that's
people,
real. I was no for real, Amber. I feel like we were watching the Grammys out of here like a couple weeks ago, and I'll never forget Sam Smith and Kim Petras performing "Unholy," and the person next to me, they kept saying, "I don't know if I know that song." Then I was like, "Yes, you do." The moment it started playing, they was like, "Oh yeah, that's that TikTok song," and I was just like, "Yo, the momentum behind." How people are consuming music and remembering it is changing.
well, it's
So sorry, I
both.
didn't that up. Yeah.
It's both. You can be a fan of a song and have no idea who sings it, and you can be a fan of an artist and have no idea what songs they sing.
Mm.
Just pick,
Woo.
just pick one. Just like the people will pick it for you actually, but just like promote yourself so you can find out, so you can give people different entry points. Like right now, artists are brand, they're a brand. Anybody, everybody is a brand. Everybody's going to like you for a different reason. If you are on Instagram, if you're on any social media app, you are selling something. You are selling yourself. Everybody has a story. I think, you know, why I come here, or why Jasmine you go, people are saying we should meet, whatever it was that I was selling on social media, because we never met. If it resonated with you, I say, okay, cool, I'm doing a good job. I protect my brand. So there's certain things that I don't post and that I don't say and that I don't do, because that will have somebody being like, I don't want to meet her actually.
Right.
That's not
Agreed.
what we're
Yeah.
doing, right? You stay on
Yep.
brand. But I talk about LVRN all the time because I work there and I'm proud of where I work, and I promote our artists and I promote our brand. And if anybody's tired of me talking about it, unfollow me. And if you're not, let's talk about it. Let's all celebrate. Let's be happy together. You know what I mean? But like as an independent artist now, you have so much power to accomplish the same exact to you could do it just like SZA. You could do it just like Adele.
Yep.
You could do it just like Sam Smith. You could have a song just as big as Unholy independently. Brent Fayez is independent.
Yep.
So whoever asked that question, you and Brent, whatever he was doing, do that. Like find your favorite independent artist. La Russell is an artist who's giving out free game on his Instagram and his Twitter all the time. He's an independent artist, and he posted something today where he was like, yo, like it is your job to create content as an artist. That's the
It
other
is.
part of the job. If you can't take one day and create content, you don't really want to do this. Because, like, why are you doing music? If you're doing music just to make music in your bedroom, make music in your bedroom and shut up. If you're doing music, if
Mm.
you want to sell out the Staples Arena one day, act
Make
like
some
it.
noise. You gotta act like it. No, for real, literally. I think Lizzo is also a great example, even though she's not
Absolutely.
indie anymore, but like she knew what she was doing. I think about even oh my God, I would love your even opinion on this. Like I know this artist by the name of Wes Will. He has a project coming out, The Game is the Game, but when I tell you his strategy is so innovative, and I think it's speaking to the future as well. I was going to ask you too, what some of your favorite shows, but I feel like probably like 5 years ago, the conversation was like, okay, what playlist can I get on? How can I get on Rap Caviar, etc. Now, a lot of these independent artists and, up and coming musicians, the question isn't about what playlist I can get on. It's a matter of how can I get my music synced in Euphoria? How can I get my music synced in Wu-Tang Clan? And this kid that I know has like 26 placements. He's been placed here, here, here. And I think it's such a unique strategy. And it goes into my final question. I promise this is the last one because I think it's a management leg to it as well. So shout out to Shane. I believe it's SHXB or NNE. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. But they want to know, for someone that's been in the industry and, they've been on your side of things, on the marketing and the branding, but now, you're seen as, management as well. You are the general manager of this iconic label. How can someone, shift into that role? Is it intimidating? And how has it propelled you today? You got the chain on today. Like, this is like, like you mean business, but how did it, get there?
I've kind of always been doing it.
Mm,
I again, my focus advice still stands, but I'm so grateful in my early career to have been dabbling in so many different things, because it was like I was like just running around collecting infinity stones my whole career, and then figuring out like
I'm
now
an Avenger.
for real, like
Oh, fact.
I don't even know what they would what they would turn into or what they unlocked for me in my future, but I was doing it. So like I was managing artists first. I used to manage Michael Montana, whose song is Do It with K Camp, when I was like, I think I was 18 or 19. I managed Sayari the Kid as a producer. So I've managed producers. I managed like DJing is like a lost art. I used to manage this DJ coalition called the Arsonist DJs, and
I love
Tunde from
DJs.
LVRN was one of the
Yeah,
DJs. Like
I
we've done
love
a lot of
DJs. Yeah.
just like I've always been in management. So this coming back to LVRN to do management for artists, this is the way that I'm used to working with artists in a real direct way. The label way and all that stuff is like was interesting for me because I'm used to being so direct and able to talk and say like, hey, what are we trying to do? Let's figure it out, or here's this opportunity or whatever. Not a lot of like static. Um, and so then on the general management side, like I I always say this and I mean it with my whole ass. Being an assistant is the best position that you could ever be in. I started my career as an executive assistant, and I spent my entire 4.5 years in that position learning every single aspect of the business. Every email came to my email, every meeting, every call. I sat in everything. So I spent my whole 4 years of my career listening to LA Reid yell at people
Ooh.
was when he was the president of Def Jam, and overhearing things and going to music video shoots and following around the directors and seeing how they direct videos, and everything that I learned about how to manage anybody's business. I started learning as an assistant, and everything else, like I said, the Spotify, learning the town halls and learning everything. Like I don't just want to do everything, I also want to know everything. And so
Mhm.
I put myself in a position to get a lot of information. And this is what it turned out to. This is what it unlocked for me. So I'm grateful for that. But I can't sit here and lie to y'all and say I knew what I was doing before this. I was just doing stuff. And that's what I mean by that, promote yourself. Because
Yeah.
you don't know what it's gonna end up. You don't know where it ends for you. But as long as you're just trying, like as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, at the end of it, you're gonna realize, damn, them 20 videos is what made me go viral. Or man, that them those 5 times that I said yes, or this job experience that I had, these this job that I quit is the reason why I'm really good at this. Like, just stay active. Like, make sure
Stay
you
active.
have emotion in your whole career.
No,
That's
I love that. Stay active. And you shout out the assistants, but I have to I feel like interns are essential in that as well. I was someone that
do interns still exist?
Yep.
I don't know where we're at in
I
life
don't
right
even know if they have the same drive. Like sometimes, girl, I really do feel like I was a part of the last of that dying breed of interns. I interned 4 different places in New York for free. I was with an underground hip hop, blog. I was just writing. Then I was with Vashti. Then I was at High 97 in
now.
miscommunication
Wow.
for 3 months. And then I ended up before I was their assistant, I ended up at Rock Nation. So when you talk about hearing LA Reid yell and scream, like I still it triggered me a little bit because I was like, she don't even just know. She just triggered when Tata screamed, Jazz, where's my phone? And I had to run down the hallway to make sure that Tata, the legend himself, had his phone. So
And
shout
by the way, LA wasn't even yelling like that. He's very charismatic. So it was just like stern wisdom. I'll say that.
yeah, but like I really thank you for sharing that because I feel like even like some of our leaders today they aren't as open about that journey. So thank you for sharing that. And then as a last word from you, what can the world expect from Love Renaissance in 2023? We already see global expansion. We already see you guys got your hands, on one of the greatest producers to ever do it, Brian Michael Cox, who's now, part of the team. And they have you, which is, I think, is also a pivotal and essential, like role that's also going to just keep, LVRN propelling. So, yeah, what can we expect?
Outside
All
of
the sauce.
global expansion, I will definitely say more excellence and dare I say black excellence. I think that we want to continue um to just be like to be hope, like to show people, whoever, whatever young people are sitting in a room trying to figure out how to put together a label, y'all are just like those five guys 10 years
Mm.
putting together in a dorm room. It's no different with their first artist coming out of pocket for a video and trying to figure it out, you know. And so I want to say that we want to continue to be relatable and share our story, because I think one of LVRN's greatest strengths is that we're storytellers, so that it always feels attainable. Like, I know all of the news and all that stuff always looks amazing, but it needs to always feel attainable, because it is like we're all real people that came from a real place that are doing real things. And I want people to understand that there's no secret, you know, like for us, you know, especially being first generation immigrants and minorities, we are still trying to figure out the other secrets. Like, I think there's things we don't know, but there's no secret to that. You could do this, anybody can do this. And I think we want to keep showing you how much effort you have to put in to be able to do it, but also just how achievable it is. And on the less serious end, more incredible music, because we have one of the greatest executive producers in our building now. Great music, new artists that you guys don't even know what you're about to get from them. And just more, I want to say, genre bending. I think that
Ooh.
LVRN obviously has, you know, made a name for itself in R&B, but we love hip hop, we love pop. Popular music is, excuse me, pop music is nothing but popular music, and we're gonna make sure our music's popular AF this year. And so I think LVRN in more spaces is what you're gonna get, and I hope everybody really loves it.
Well, we look forward to it, and we're so grateful for you for giving us this time. Like, I don't think you understand the gems you have dropped that have not only been impactful for, this entire studio that is Black owned, but also for this chat. They're going crazy. They say, yes, thank you, Amber. Thank you for the
I'm
great.
in the chat now in real time
You
because I had to
see?
see
Oh,
what
you
was
see
going
the
on.
thing?
Like,
Like, it's going, but
and I do love crime. I'm not
yes,
doing
well,
it, but I
y'all.
love crime.
Y'all there,
Um,
they can hear you there. They're cracking up. They like, nah, she loves it. Like, please, we need you in these courtrooms. Oh my God.
murder mystery podcast. Me and Jasmine Kine coming soon before I get my law degree. Thank y'all for doing this and creating a space for all of these people in the chat. I know that I kept y'all over time because I talk a lot, but I value every minute of this. I'll give you guys every second of advice because these spaces are important. Jasmine, your role is important. Mike Begain, people like you making space for people like Jasmine is important. And so I'm just happy to be here. Is why we're 30 minutes over. So apologies if you had things to do, but it happened already.
Okay, I was about to
So,
say,
sorry, not sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. Well, you guys, this was a special and sweet edition of Behind the Business, not Behind the Music, with the lovely Amber Grimes of LVRN. We are so appreciative of you for watching, chatting, and just engaging with us. Until the next Behind the Business, I'm Little Baby.